Hi everybody, welcome to my channel for the last battle report of ETC 2022. We are basically playing the core final, we could say. So there are 4 teams very close to each other. On round 5 we won against France, where Poland won big against Mexico, and I think Denmark won against Spain, if I'm not mistaken. And then basically at the end of round 5, we know that the pairing are going to be Denmark versus Poland on table 1, but I think there are like 4 or 5 points between us, 4th place, and the 1st place, and we are going to play Spain on the 2nd row. So it's going to be very close. We knew that the round between, I think, Spain and Denmark was quite close, so we knew that possibly Denmark against Poland could be close and we could have a shot at the title. So this is typically the type of game where I've been preparing for since a year. We knew what we missed a bit last year, and this was really going to be a test for us, and I was really excited to play that. I didn't feel really nervous to play this last round. I was more like excited, focused. The more the games went on during ETC, the more like kind of focus or in loop I was. So I was really excited to play this last game. I was paired against Garza, who was playing Sylvan Elf for Spain. This is my list, and this was my opponent's list. Character wise, pretty straightforward. He has a master with 2 binding scroll on cosmology. He has a chieftain BSB with a 2-up, I guess, and then he has the spear that makes him distracting when he scores a wound or hit. So basically going to make the spear unit distracting easily. He has 21 archer with Ban of Discipline, 29 spear guy, 5 is riders, unit of 8 dryads, 3 unit of rangers, 22, 20 and 13. All of them pretty cheap, less than 400 points. Then he has 5 Wild Huntsman, 2 units of Briar Maiden that going to operate on the flanks, and then 3 unit of 5 shooters. So quite a lot of shooting. He maxed the number, as you can see, the number of units in this list is quite impressive. So he went minimize the minimal setup with the character. He has then support his magic with a champion in Briar Maiden, which is smart. So yeah, very interesting list, and as you can see, he really spared some point on like stuff like musician or standard on the rangers. It really went with minimal cost on them. We played Dawn Assault and Capture the Flag, which is not maybe the most exciting setup for the ETC. Here you can see my spell selection. I debated a bit between hereditary or not. Then at the end I decided something slightly more offensive, which is the breast weapon that I had 3. I expected somehow him to, I think this is more already a matchup analysis, but I expected him to play maybe a false aggression, but not really go and fight me in close combat, meaning I could use one more spell for range damage, and also the breast weapon was a safe choice because it's also helpful in combat. And on the right you have his spell selection. Matchup analysis. So this list is a combination of 3 to 4 block of elite infantry that are quite good in combat, and then a lot of shooting. I know that my Frost Mammoth will be quite important to strike before him, depending on the combat, and also I need to use cover against his shooting. He has a lot of good infantry, so it's not so easy for me to really push him back. Capture the flags means he's not so likely to come at me. At most I expected a false aggression. It also means that I don't have so many chaff at my disposal, which that's the experience I had on Capture the Flag this year. Basically it limits a lot what I can do to attack the opponent. I rated it to be a 10. Deployment. So I won the roll for side, decided to cut it that way to give him an impassable on his part of the map, basically forcing him to deploy most of his forces on the middle right of the map, putting a lot of distance between his part of the map and my part of the map, because as you can see I deploy compact on the left, wanted to use the ruin, the wall, maybe some forest to gain maximum cover, and then as soon as possible push forward. This is something that I do quite a lot against armies that have more threats than mine, and especially more mobility, here being the both unit of Briar Maiden that can be really fast on the flanks and go around me. So I wanted to somehow limit his ability to do that. I didn't feel really comfortable to sit in front of him, with him having so many combat units that can be problematic for me, and me not being able to use any of my usual chaff other than the tiger. So I felt to establish kind of a standoff by putting my threat together, using the wall, basically try to get some points from distance. I could be close to a 10, which is I think a realistic expectation for this matchup. So he decided to drop everything for first turn, which makes sense. He was just missing the scouts that he put within the forest here. So he put one unit of Briar Maiden with the champion here, the other unit on the left without the champion, Wild Huntsman, small unit of rangers, big unit of rangers, unit of 20 rangers, the spear guy with the BSB, sentinels, archer, and here you have the basically cavalry from core, chaff cavalry, so to say. My counter deployment was Tusker on the left, bruisers, tribesmen with Great Khan, Merc Vets with the BSB and Shaman, Frost Mammoth, and then on far right I have my giant to block his scout, position carefully behind the hill to get hard cover. So I wanted to be annoying, delay his strong flank, which is more or less the same that he wanted to do with this unit, try to delay my strong flank. So I positioned the Tusker to like close the flank and also be safe. I know they don't have so many wounds, so I felt I can push slowly forward, cover the angle, and this allows my Death Star to push hard. And basically my game plan was to push as much as I could with the Death Star, which is a strong unit in the matchup, so I really wanted to do 12 and push forward, march turn 1 behind the wall with my Merc Vets to try to get that hard cover and be in a strong position, cover my back with the Frosty, and then try to move slowly forward with the Tusker to support the middle, basically to establish like a strong battle line, try to get some points on some units and avoid giving him too many points, and basically protecting my flag in the back. That was more or less the game plan, so pretty straightforward. Basically, oh, by the way, this is forest, not a good looking forest, I have to say. I would have liked to have something more hobby friendly, but that's how it is. And also worth mentioning, he brought with him like a WYSIWYG list, so to say. Basically his army was a lot of alternative model, which makes sometimes hard to recognize who is what, but he brought with him a list showing for each picture which unit what was, a list that I used multiple times because it was kind of hard to distinguish sometimes between the unit, but he did that well. So I guess we can move on to turn 1. His turn 1, I was here past the mark check, move to the flank of the giant, try to shoot the giant. The rest move basically forward. He still respected the possibilities of my giant, didn't want me to have line of sight and charge ability on some scoring unit, didn't want any misunderstanding here. These guys move to the left, and the Wild Huntsman move behind the house for the moment. In the magic phase, you got +1 aim on those archers, and then with shooting combined, he did 5 wounds to my giant, which is kind of huge if you consider that 2 units were shooting hard cover, this one as well hard cover, and those guys without cover but short range. Could have maybe avoided this situation, however I was like at the max of my 18 here with Dawn Assault, so basically makes things kind of hard. And then I couldn't really wheel other than that because in case I wheel, I could basically lose my hard cover. So I had no very good option. I wanted to be sure that he's out of range to shoot at my first mammoth. So I didn't find any best solution to avoid that happening. But yeah, 2 wounds remaining on the giant. My turn 1, so I pass my march check, move away with the giant. Basically, I force him to come to the corner to deal with me. Also, I forgot to mention something very interesting that he did. He activated his chaff already to block me. And you can ask yourself, why did he do that? Because I often say on the channel, if you chaff without taking advantage from it behind, it's kind of a wasted chaff. And here you could say, yeah, it looks like a wasted chaff. Basically, his battle line is so far away and he's already chaffing you, which could be like 203 points. Which is not, because what he's doing here, which is very interesting, I guess, is identify the fact that I would like to push hard with the Death Star 12 here, push hard with the Merc Vets to be behind the wall on turn 1. So identify that, and therefore by using his unit that way, he makes impossible for me to get the wall, and impossible for the Death Star to march. So I thought that was quite interesting from him, basically sacrificing a piece to keep me in the open terrain and far away from him. So he's sacrificing a piece to get better shot at the Merc next round, and at the same time get board control, because I won't be able to push too hard with the Death Star, which I thought that was really smart. I charged with my Tribesman Dart to deal with the chaff. I wanted to keep these guys out of combat to shoot him. Still reform, so swift reform the Death Star and move 6 forward to try to move around the chaff. Those guys move forward, the rest move forward as well, and reposition the Frosty. In the magic phase, he Binding Scroll the Wrath of God. I got -1 resilience somewhere. With shot, I kill I think 3 of the Rangers. And close combat, I did 3 wounds. He did 1 to me. He fled. I restrained. He fled like here, and then on his turn, unfortunately for him, he didn't rally. I guess he was too far from BSB, if I remember correctly. So it was like an 8, no reroll, and he still fled over the house, lost 1 guy, so he has 1 remaining that's going to be rallying on half leadership, which is good situation for me, because if I don't kill the chaff and then you can rally use again, that would have been kind of annoying. Reposition those guys here. The rest of the battle line basically push slightly forward, uses the this Briar Maiden to shoot at my giant. Position also those guys to shoot at. I can't tell if they are looking at the giant or at the left. I would have said at the giant. Position those sentinel to shoot at the giant as well, so to be sure he can deal with that and then look towards the left. And the rest of the shooter are looking at my battle line, basically. In the magic phase, I Binding Scroll Ice of Fire, because I figured out not going to have so many combat in this battle, and if there are going to be, he hasn't so many buffs, so I should be fine without. So I Binding Scroll Ice and Fire to avoid him basically taking advantage of the fact that I charge with Tribesman, and he could potentially cast Ice and Fire, do wounds, and then finish me with shooting and get a first flag. So I identify here a big danger and use the Binding Scroll. He then tried break the spirit on the Merc Vets, but failed thanks to MR3, and he killed my giant with shooting and did also 4 wounds to the Merc Vets. My turn 2. As I planned, march forward with the Merc Vets. March these guys forward as well, or no, I didn't march too much. No, I reform and move forward. Didn't want to take too much DTs already because I was going to suffer enough from his range damage. So I just reform and move 6 forward, reposition my Tribesman behind the main unit, reposition the Frosty to cover the angles, continue to cover. So I push as much as I could, but I still need to still cover the fact that he can do 18 and here come to my left. So I always angled and pushed them as much as I could without leaving him the option to leave my angle. So that's what I did every round, which like slowed down a lot the Tuskers, to be honest. But I still felt kind of okay with the positioning. We're still quite far away. I have the Frosty protecting my flank. I reach the wall. I will start to be able to push more with this unit. So I should be fine. If I can do some damage to them, maybe from range, he would need maybe to move them forward because he cannot fight anymore against this unit. Basically, strongest unit on the battle line for me was the spear guys, because they can make me easily hit on 5+, which could be an issue, but I didn't rate the likelihood too high that he would like to really fight me. What happened in Magic Phase, he used the second Binding Scroll on the Wrath of God, which shows again that you don't want to find too much, because if you expect fights, usually you keep 1 Binding Scroll for that, for a key buff at a key point. So a Binding Scroll, Wrath of God, I failed 2 casting, so was unlucky this round, and since I march, I didn't have any shooting. His turn 3, so he continued to try to wrap around me, so to say, push forward a bit with the battle line, but not too much. So these guys, so basically he kept leaving me with, I think, maybe 12 charge, but not more than that. Push to my flank with these 2 units. Didn't mind that I could charge with the Frosty. He just felt he could easily rally here behind and not risk too much, which is fair to say. Other than that, those guys didn't move much. He still kept me, kept threatening me and be annoying for me. So I felt that was interesting for him. In the magic phase, he got +1 aim on the big unit. I dispel, break the spirit, shooting. So he starts with those 10 shots poison on the flank of my Merc Vet. He did 4 wounds to me, so this sucks already. And then with the rest of the shooting, if I'm not mistaken, he should have done like 8 to 9 wounds behind the wall, which is crazy. I have to take a panic check on a 9 rollable, which I fail, which is very bad news. So at least it's the last unit that causes the panic check, so I have to flee that way. I still had a room to flee behind, so I'm still on the board, and I'm still likely to rally on the 9. Not likely, but I still have a chance to rally on the 9 no reroll for the main unit. And since he crippled the Merc Vets so much, it's not the end of the world that I flee. Unfortunately, I had to take a panic check on the 9 no reroll on the Frosty, which I fail. The Frosty needs to flee away for those guys, fled over these 3 units that passes check on the 9 no reroll. If not, I would have already lost a flag. So beginning of my turn 3, my game plan is not anymore so good. And to make things worse, I will fail to rally on the 9. So level 4 is out of the map, BSB is out of the map, Merc Vets are out of the map. So I lose scenario and I lose 2 big units in my battle line. So basically now I'm down to a lot of points. Situation is 2 to 18. I'm going to try to save as much as I can. So I just reposition defensively to avoid him going out of arc and try to hunt my scoring unit. Position as much as I can behind the ruin, basically to gain some cover, try to save the points, because if he killed Tiger, it will be up to 19, so I try to save as much as I can, but the game is, it's going to be very hard for me. No magic, so it's going to be quick. His turn 4. Basically, he's going to push forward, to push around me, kept these guys in a position where I cannot push forward because then he can move behind my back. So nothing I can do here. Just going to get 5 wounds to my tribe star this round with shooting and maybe magic. I don't know if I think I dispel ice on fire. I don't know if he got anything else than that. But that's what happened. My turn 4. I continue to reposition myself to basically make sure that those guys cannot move out of arc. Hide the kitty here, hide my scoring behind. Kept zoning him with the Tuskers as much as I could. And that's it. His turn 5. Continue to keep pressure on me, but still didn't plan to really go to combat. He got altered sight with 2 dice against 3. Which is annoying, and then he got also D6 strength 5 doing 2 wounds to my tribesmen. With shooting he did another 8 wounds to them, so I lost this round like 10 wounds to tribesmen, which is a lot. I passed my panic check on a 9 no reroll, my turn 5. Since I have not many bodies left, I move onto the ruin to get hard cover. The Great Khan move into this unit, keep everybody within 8, and if he move forward I can charge out with Great Khan. We'll see if he wants to, but I just really want to save those 2 points. I don't want to get 20'd. And that's it. And his turn 6, what will happen is basically we'll keep more or less this positioning. We'll cause a panic check on them. On a 9 they will fail. Move out of the table, causing 1, 2, 3 panic check. I will fail the one on the Tuskers. They move out of the table and I lose 20. This hurts, I felt not much I can do from after deployment. I think my deployment could have been slightly better, and now we are going to analyze that. But before that, let's discuss the results. So Spain won big against us. Definitely it was a reality check for us. We got 2 very good results that we need to congratulate my teammate. Alan and Xavier won 14 and 17 against Turtle and Cal, 2 of the best players from Team Spain. So huge result and congrats to them. And other than that, yeah, we lost on most tables. So Coco got a small win. And other than that, as you can see, we got also here we got small loss. And then 3 big losses, 3, 2, and 0. And at the end, we lost a lot against Spain. So no big regret on my non-rollable fail check. This can happen. Garza, I have to say, was very sport in the way he dealt with that. Told me, yeah, the worst can happen. He was a bit sorry for me, but didn't jump in the air with the fist after I failed that check. So I felt it was really okay, really yeah, fine with that. To let me also grab a glass of water after I failed to restrain. I made a short break to take some water after I failed to rally my Merc Vets because I needed to refocus. I tried to keep focus until the end, but basically didn't manage to save anything from this game, which is very, very annoying because I think it's years since last time I've been tabled, or not tabled, but I lost 20 in a tournament, which is very annoying. Post-game analysis. So, deployment, I felt was the idea was there, but the execution wasn't perfect. And as often with my list, the key, really the key in the deployment is where you put the 3 main units, in which order, who is going where. And I think that's where I didn't make the perfect choice. And after deployment, I cannot do anything to change that. So it's really key to not mess that up in the deployments. That's basically the main thing with this list. In the micro, I don't felt I did really mistakes, other than maybe not covering perfectly the position of the scout guy. Could have maybe done slightly better, but at the same time I needed to protect my Frosty. What can I... Maybe I underestimated a little bit his shooting range damage. I felt to do so many wounds and I was behind the wall. Just show you that the Merc Vets cannot be in any position so close to his shooting. Also show you that the matchup is kind of complicated. I had it as a 7 before the lunch break, so that's how I estimated before, and after talking with my colleague, they convinced me that he wasn't going to come at me, which is right, but that it needed to be more 10 than a 7. I still feel the fact that he outpowers me from distance makes it a 7, so I think 7 was the right estimation. From the top of my head, as I could remind, we decided to down my rating against Cal because we felt it's kind of dangerous game. I felt okay to play against his list, to be honest. I would have been curious to know what was his rating of the matchup, by the way. If any Spanish guy knows the rating that Cal put for this game, for this matchup against me, that would interest me. Anyway, so we put down the Beast Earth and up the Sylvan Elves. I don't remember about the rest. And I ended up playing on Sylvan Elves, but I think 7 was a more accurate estimation. Overall, I missed a couple of small things in my list to be able to really play this match, being a Discipline banner on the Merc Vets that are a key unit. I mean, it's a low chance to fail 9 rollable, but it's still 1 chance over 36, which is not that unlikely. Especially if I have level 4 plus, so Master plus BSB plus the Merc Vets, it's a lot of points in 1 unit, and in this case the Discipline banner I think was needed. And also flags, it's kind of something I missed during the year. I played flags in a couple of tournaments where it didn't end up so bad. It just stopped my possibility to really be aggressive in the game, but still I was able to maintain the standoff. But I think I missed something in the construction of the list to have too many scoring units. I think 1 too many, and I could have adjusted slightly to make it more playable, maybe on Capture the Flag as well. And I lacked also a bit of training against shooty list. In this case, I think it didn't show really up because I did what I had to do, but maybe this is also part of the explanation why my deployment wasn't totally fine. How I should have deployed, so I discussed that with Coco. Always interesting to have his thought on the matchup because he's a very experienced player. And I think it's just, switch position was needed. Basically, putting the Merc Vets on the far left, he puts them far away from his shooting, so more protected, able to use a piece of terrain if they need to. And then they can slowly push forward, and at some point those guys have to move away, because if not, they're going to be shot to death. They're out of BSB, they can get panic checks, so they can stay here 1-2 rounds, but after that they have to move away. So I think the Merc Vets would have been the smart choice. They can do 6, be partially on the hill, and then maybe another 6, and then we see what he does. And if he move away, I can push towards the middle, and if he decided to move back, I can still turn around, shoot him. So I think that would have been a smart choice. Tuskers could have gone here and marched for the wall turn 1 to be hard cover and still a very dangerous unit for him because I'm zoning far away. And then to close the castle, the Tribe Star, basically with a lot of wounds, use the forest as cover or potentially also the wall if I need to. I think I can split the wall between those two units, but basically close here this part of the map with the unit that has the most wounds. And I think this makes harder for him to get a flag, first of all, to panic me from shooting, second of all, and third of all to push me, even if that's a plan for him. So that could have been a bit better, I guess, but yeah, that's how you learn. You need to get painful experience to remember things, so that's how it is sometimes. Okay guys, that's all. So it's a bitter ending to the ETC for me. So that's the end of my 6th game. I hope you like this battle report. Thanks a lot for all the comments, and also I like to thank all the people that I met during ETC that gave me positive feedback on my channel. It's always something that pleases us as content producer very much, because as you know, we don't do that for money. We do that for, first of all, the pleasure of analyzing our own mistake and try to improve, but also to share content with you. And that's also personally how I learned the game at the beginning. I watch a lot of videos, so I'd like to try to do the same for a new player. And I'm always very pleased when I receive positive feedback from people telling that they were able to learn stuff through my content, or that they like the video, basically. So thanks a lot for all the people that came to me during ETC and discuss a bit. It was really, yeah, really a pleasure. Thanks a lot guys for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and talk to you soon in the conclusion video, where I will go more into detail about the result and the conclusion on my list, the team, and what's next, basically. Bye.